Hi guys, Sabrina and Garrett here at SVP, Society of Vertebrate Paleontology in Utah, our first one.
SVP 2016.
Woo! We're having a blast so far and learning a lot, and we wanted to give you a little mini update of our first day since we're celebrating our 100th episode, and we couldn't have done it without you, our listeners, and our viewers.
Yeah.
So we will have much more in-depth coverage in a future podcast episode, but for now, we just wanted to give you a quick recap.
Yeah, of the first day at least. And then we're putting a lot of updates on Twitter because that's kind of the quickest way to do it with the hashtag 2016 SVP, which always seems backwards to me.
Yeah. So if you follow us on Twitter at I Know Dino, you'll see live updates from the annual meeting.
So we weren't allowed to take any videos inside the conference while they were doing their presentations, which is a shame because they were really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But we were allowed to take pictures out around with some of the cool fossils that they had in the hallways, and then also at the Utah Natural History Museum, where they had the big reception on the first night here.
Yeah.
So
It was a good welcome.
Yeah, we just got back from there. So far, we've seen a few uses for synchrotrons, including the one in Stanford that we talked a lot about before, and some of the neat things that they could do. I didn't realize that in Stanford they can actually measure an entire fossil in one go. They don't have to do just one little specific part like they do in a lot of these analyses. So that's cool.
There was also a talk on different ways to detect beta-carotene in fossils, which is the main component of a feather.
Yeah, and it's not found in humans, so it's really good for eliminating contamination. And they do cool stuff with antibodies that kind of go into the specimens and then highlight little spots so that they can see the pattern of the beta-carotene in the fossils, so it's really cool. They also talked a little bit about DNA recovered from fossils and how Jurassic Park isn't really possible, but there are some cool things that you can still do. Just don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. There's also talk about dinosaur brain shapes and ear canal shapes and what that might tell us about their behavior.
Yeah, and they also talked about the behavior of birds and how they nested and how modern birds, and probably dinosaurs, rotate their eggs, and that actually helps them develop and kind of stay warm or whatever. But modern reptiles don't rotate their eggs, and actually if you rotate a modern reptile's eggs, it could be harmful to the egg. So pretty interesting split there.
Possibly one of our favorite talks of the day was about how raptor feet potentially can tell us what theropods ate.
And by raptor feet, we mean modern raptors, which are things like owls and falcons and eagles and all the birds basically that hunt with their feet. So they called them like foot-using or foot-preferring birds rather than beak-preferring. And historically, it seems like most birds used their beaks, and then some of them learned how to use their feet instead. So they showed an example, actually, of one bird that stomped a snake to death versus one that pecked it to death. And they looked very similar. It's pretty interesting.
There was also a talk about how dinosaurs may have spit up pellets like owls, and that was really entertaining. He showed a clip of an owl doing that.
Yeah, it was really funny. He put up a clip of an owl and he said, "Let's see where this goes."
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a slow-mo regurgitation. It was pretty funny. And he found a fossil of a dinosaur or a very early bird that looked like it had spit up a pellet rather than coprolite.
Yeah.
And last, there was a reconstruction of a skull using the latest 3D technology, but the funniest part of it was the conclusion was essentially, quote, "Huxley was essentially right," end quote. And that's referring to an 1867 hypothesis. So it's cool to see this very modern technology used to reaffirm something that somebody asserted 140 years ago.
Also good for Huxley.
Yeah, seriously.
So now, since this is a special 100th episode video in addition to our 100th episode, which is already up, we want to thank all of the patrons who supported us in the past year and definitely helped make all of this possible. We would like to thank Val, Luke, Joaquin, Susie, Kyle and Betsy, Chris, Brendan, Nicholas, Scotty, David, Jackson, Jillian, Alan, Chris, Sarah, Simon, Jordan, Agnes, Guy, Ricardo, David, Kyle, Megan, Laura, Lawrence, Sean, Anthony, Eli and Lucas, Io and Owen, the Georges family, Wyatt, Elizabeth, and Ryan. Thank you so much, and follow us on Instagram with our new I Know Dino channel.